What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Fantasy Flex main slate podcast presented by Prize Picks. This is your championship week preview. I'm Chris Raybon, joined as always by my dude Sean Koerner. Sean, what's going on? How you feeling, man?
Oh man, what a weekend of football, right? I mean, Saturday everything went perfectly for me, and then Sunday it was the exact opposite. Had the pleasure of sweating / tilting that Bills lost with you. But wow, what a weekend.
Yeah, I that RIP to my shmoney shirt.
Oh yeah, so in case you're interested, Raybon ripped off his shmoney shirt as soon as Gabe Davis scored that touchdown with 13 seconds, right?
Yeah, and then thinking we had a win, and then yeah, it wasn't pretty. That was the last thing to cheer for the rest of that game. But should still be a good championship weekend. We got a rematch of Chiefs Bengals. We got a third rematch of Rams Niners. Let's get into the main slate here, and we'll start at quarterback. Sean, I mean, there's only 4 quarterbacks. I guess who do you think is the best value out of Jimmy G, Stafford, Mahomes, Burrow?
I mean, it's probably got to be Patrick Mahomes just based on this slate. He's only 7,400, which is probably a little bit too cheap. But obviously he's going to be, super chalky. So for tournaments, probably have to go off of Mahomes if you want to, be unique. So I think Stafford is probably the sneaky play here in these cheaper quarterbacks. This is probably going to be a pass funnel matchup. He did okay against the Niners week 18, only threw for 238 yards through 2 picks, but he did throw for 3 touchdowns. I just think this is another sneaky spot for Stafford coming off a great performance against the Bucks. It was tough sledding for Cam Akers, so maybe they just lean on Stafford again here. But I think it's Mahomes all the way. But if I'm going off him, it's probably going to be Stafford. How about you?
I like Joe Burrow at 6,600.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if Mahomes probably does have a good game, obviously he's Patrick Mahomes. So, there's a big correlation between opposing quarterback production. And, I mean, as explosive as Cincinnati's offense is, I mean, they could come out throwing from the jump. I mean, they put up a ton of yards in the last matchup. And this is one of those defenses that tends to play more man coverage than most. And that's really what they shred in Cincinnati is that man coverage against zone defenses. They'll be solid, they'll be efficient. They have Chase, but against man, I mean, they really go off. So I like Burrow for the matchup, but also the correlation on the other side because I don't think Cincinnati's stopping Kansas City much either on that side of the ball.
Yeah, no, that's a great call. You're not worried about the offensive line, allowing 5+ sacks again this week.
It happened in a 1916 game. They allowed 8 sacks and he still threw for over 300. So, yep. It's one of those situations where you're trying to keep, Kansas City's probably more liable to put up 38 than 19 or 16, 32 and 16. So this could just be a very pass heavy game script. Another one of those games where, maybe Mixon falls short of his number, but I like Burrow here. All right, let's go to running back. And again, it's, they're limited options. Jarrett McKinnon and Edwards-Helaire split the backfield for KC. We got Akers. Michelle didn't play very much at all for the Rams, but Akers did fumble a couple of times and wasn't very efficient. And then obviously in San Francisco, we got Mitchell. And then for the Bengals, it's all Mixon. So who do you like?
I just think based on price, Cam Akers makes sense at 5K. Yeah, he fumbled. He wasn't efficient at all. He had 24 rushes for like 48 yards. But he's coming off that Achilles injury. McVay's obviously leaning on him. So I like him here. I think he should see another big workload. He got 80% of the rush attempts last week. I think you even pondered, is Sony Michel even playing?
Yeah.
But he's been phased out. And plus, Akers saw the routes run rate of 59%. So he's become, a true workhorse back. So, and I think the potential return of Andrew Whitworth should only help. So, I think just based on this small slate, Akers at 5K, hopefully people shy away from him because of last week's poor performance, but I'm a fan of a big workload at 5K. So I like him. I think also, just rolling the dice with this Chiefs backfield, I think Jarrett McKinnon might be sneaky at 5,100. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire certainly earned more touches this week, but McKinnon's still going to dominate the receiving usage. He's seen over 70% routes run rate back-to-back games. He's caught over 50 receiving yards in back-to-back games. So I think just having that role solidified gives him some, value on DK. So I think just, taking a flyer on him at 5,100 on a short slate like this, when he's probably going to be pretty low rostered, if I had to guess. So I think McKinnon's the other sneaky play here.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 70% snap rate to Edwards-Helaire 30. Maybe that goes more to 50-50 because Edwards-Helaire was very efficient and now he's a week removed from the injury. But, there's only like 5 or 6 usable backs on the slate. So
if that.
Right. So McKinnon's one of the cheaper ones and he could see above 50% snaps again. So yeah, I like McKinnon as well, but it's all about Akers for me, just in terms of the price. I think he's the one that stands out as mispriced, that he could see close to all of the backfield work. He could see, 25, 30 touches, and he's priced as the lowest. Yeah. So I love Cam Akers here. Tough matchup though. All right, let's go to wide receiver. Here's one where we got some options. Who do you like at wide receiver?
Yeah, there's a ton of options at all price points. I think, the Deebo, Tyreek, Jamar Chase grouping all in that 7K range is the sweet spot. They're all worth every penny. So, I'm going to load up on those guys, obviously. I think Tyler Boyd in the 4,200 range makes a ton of sense. He's coming off a really quiet game, 2 catches for 17 yards. But he's a sneaky play this week. Maybe Burrow's going to lean on a low ADOT player like him just to get rid of it quicker. So I like Boyd to bounce back here in what should be a pass-heavy game script. And also on the other side, Byron Pringle at 4,300. He's the clear number 2 receiver in this offense. He's had really good underlying usage in 5 straight games. And, no surprise, he's seen 5 or more receptions in 4 of the past 5 games. So it's kind of weird that we have a number 2 option at in KC as good as Pringle. So, I think at 4,300, he makes a ton of sense. And same thing in that price range. I think Van Jefferson also sticks out. For a small slate like this, he has that upside I do, look for. So in a game where, the Rams should lean on the pass a little bit more, I think Van Jefferson is a good GPP play at 3,900.
Yeah, I mean, I think, matchup wise, Beckham is probably the safer call, but in the small slate, you're just looking for guys who are going to see snaps, and Jefferson at 3,900, he played 90% of the snaps in the divisional round. Same thing for a guy like Juwan Jennings. Like, he's going to be that number 3 receiver for San Francisco. And we saw him have a big game against the Rams. That was the guy they just didn't cover. And he had 2 touchdowns. So I think they'll pay a little more attention to him this time. But I mean, if you're playing San Francisco, you got to kind of pick your poison. So not covering Jennings is kind of the right move, or single covering him, I guess I should say. So, I like that, like him as well. Let's go to tight end. And here, I mean, this is probably a CJ Uzomah week. I mean, he's been playing well, even against some zone defenses, but a lot better against these defenses that lean toward man a little more. And he's the cheapest tight end. So if he just gets, 5 catches or he gets a touchdown, he could end up being that must-own tight end just because all the other tight ends are so much more expensive. Higbee's interesting too at 3,700.
Yeah, I think Uzomah is probably the cheapest I'd go. There's a 8-point drop off from Uzomah to the next guy, so it's clearly just a 4 tight end slate. But I think Uzomah compared to Higbee's the way to go. You always talk about, the 49ers are very good against tight ends. So, that's a bit of a downgrade for Higbee. So that's why, Uzomah sticks out, especially if you want to spend up at receiver, which I think is, the way to go this week. Uzomah makes a ton of sense. I think I would lean Kittle over Kelsey just because, they both have massive ceilings and you can get Kittle at 1,500 cheaper than Kelsey. So I think at the high end, I think I'd lean Kittle. Again, this should be more of a pass heavy game script, for the Niners. So I like Kittle at the top, but Uzomah, if you're going to go cheap, he's probably the way to go.
I think I actually like Kelsey over Kittle here.
Well,
I just think, I think even for value, just because this Bengals-Chiefs game, I mean, there could be 80 points in this game, whereas this Niner game, I do think the Niners are still going to try to run the ball, right? Like they're going to try to, if they can hand the ball to Mitchell plus Samuel 30, 35 times, they're going to do it. And it just seems to me like one of those where, Bengals, they had those linebacker issues and, it just, I mean, you could see Kelsey like doubling up Kittle in this one. So yeah, I still lean Kelsey here, but yeah, it's tough to pay up. Obviously that's why you got to go with a Jefferson or a Jennings or a Boyd. Or an Akers or a McKinnon, to kind of fit those guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the Bengals allowed that 13 catch, 150-yard game to Kittle. They allowed a huge game to Andrews. So yeah, they have struggled against elite tight ends. last week they did slow down Anthony Firkser though with one target, no catches. So they're good against bad tight ends.
I think Todd Downing and Ryan Tannehill slowed them down. I don't know if those guys ran a route. Like it was just all about, I mean, as it should be, it was all about AJ Brown.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see the Titans start the tight end. I didn't like Downing's game plan in that game against the Bengals. And they still had a chance to win it, but I just didn't think it was the greatest. All right, let's close it out. Let's talk some defense. And then, I mean, this is a quick pod, so maybe I'll throw a random prop or two at you.
Okay.
Let's talk defense. San Francisco is the one that sticks out to me because the Rams just don't beat San Francisco for some reason. So it's like, if I'm, usually we're looking for favorites, but really what we're looking for is the team that could win the game. And the Bengals, 7 is a pretty big spread. I'm surprised it's that big considering the Bengals are like the darlings of the NFL, but 3.5 for the Niners. Yeah, I mean, they haven't lost to the Rams in 6 straight tries. So I think they're kind of an intriguing one. And their 4-man rush has just been superb. I mean, they held Aaron Rodgers to nothing for 3 quarters. Like let's not let the block punt kind of obscure the fact that the Niners defense played stupid good in that divisional round.
Yeah, they're good play. And, Stafford certainly is, a turnover waiting to happen. So yeah, I do like San Francisco. I also like the Rams too. Jimmy G's good for a few turnover worthy plays. I think the Chiefs are going to be just insanely rostered, right? I mean, after the Titans sacked Burrow 9 times, I think the Chiefs are going to be the most rostered defense. So I think, either the Rams or Niners are the sneaky plays.
Yeah, it's it's weird because it's like on one hand, it's tough to get a grip of the narrative with the Bengals, because I thought the Bengals were going to be like 4.5 point underdogs, and everyone was going to be and now it's like they're like 7-point underdogs, and people might want to just use the Chiefs because the Chiefs had this monster game. So obviously check out our rostership projections at fantasylabs.com a little later in the week, and we'll kind of figure that out. But yeah, it's interesting. Let's see. All right, let's do a couple props here. I'll just throw out a number, and let's go to Prize Picks. Patrick Mahomes over under 283.5 passing yards.
That's a bit low. I'm gonna have to go with the over here. I would set it in the 290s. Because I'm with you. And convinced me I was taking the Bills -6.5 against the Bengals. I think they would have destroyed the Bengals, but I do think the Bengals will be able to keep it close. So, Mahomes, he's going to have his foot on the gas for all 4 quarters, I think. But yeah, I'd probably set this like 292.5. How about you?
Yeah, I'm over this. I just think this game is going to be high scoring. I mean, I think both of these offenses have the edge. And I think the Bengals could pull the upset at this point. I'm not going to sit here and, after everything we've seen out of Joe Burrow, he's making that step, as we, right before our eyes, from to get your team to the AFC Championship in year 2. That's pretty big. So yeah, I think the Bengals, are going to keep the pressure on Mahomes. What about Deebo Samuel over under 36.5 rushing yards? That's the line at Prize Picks.
Probably over that. So I've been, taking the over on his rushing prop almost every week and the under on his receiving prop. And, that's been pretty profitable. So I'm going to stick with that this week.
Yeah, he got 39 last weekend. So, depending where you got the number, you went over or under. I think it was very close to that.
38.5.
Yeah,
most spots.
45, 72, 39 in the last 3. So, he's been over that number 3 games in a row.
I think they were going to give him today off.
Yeah, we don't have a report on him yet.
Yeah, and then he was supposed to practice tomorrow. So that obviously we're going to be watching that very closely, but assuming he'll be good to go this week. Yeah,
it sounds like everyone is good to go.
And even Kittle limped off at the very end. He seems good to go as well.
Yeah, all the Packers limped off too. All right, let's see. Let's give you a receiving one, and then we'll get out of here. All right, let's go. The highest one on the board. Cooper Kupp over under 100.5 at Prize Picks.
I am right in line with that. I think that's the perfect number.
Yeah, but you got to pick a side.
Let's see. Hate to do this, but I'm going to go under.
Ooh. So that would be only the 8th time all year he's been under 100 yards. But I'll go over. I think San Francisco is going to be very competitive in this game, and it could just be a trailing game script. I mean, if San Francisco gets that like 7-0 lead, it's a game for Kupp. And San Francisco is one of the worst teams against number one receivers. Devontae Adams is like the only, I mean, to a fault with Aaron Rodgers, but Adams is like the only guy he looked at out wide. So I think you could see a kind of similar game script play out here for Kupp. So I like the over.
Yeah, I think if there's anything, San Francisco, like you said, they'll lean on the run early on. Maybe they get one or two like really long drives that can just limit, the amount of plays that the Rams have. So that's the angle I'm going with here is Niners lean on the run, keep Cooper Kupp on the sideline. But yeah, obviously anytime we're dealing with Cooper Kupp, his prop should be in the hundreds, but I'm just going to lean with the under here.
All right. That is going to wrap it for us for the championship week Fantasy Flex main slate podcast presented by Prize Picks. Be sure to follow Sean Koerner on Twitter at @_oddsmaker. You can find me at Chris Raybon, and you can find us at those same handles in the free award-winning Action Network app, where you can track your bets, including your props, and follow ours as well. ActionNetwork.com for our fantasy and betting content. FantasyLabs.com for our DFS tools and models, and be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify. All right, we will be back for the Pro Bowl, I guess, to break down that slate. So that should be fun. We'll keep it going after that with the Super Bowl. So stay tuned to the channel, and until next time, let's get this money.